Pictures. Taking pictures, being in pictures. I have to say it's been a really long time since I have been in front of the camera. I usually am taking the pictures, specifically if it comes to my family. Like if it's at some group outing, it's like, oh, we need all the moms or whatever, then I'm in the picture. But generally, like with my family pictures, because I was going through pictures on my phone and I'm like, I'm not in any of these. My husband is. He's with the kids. I'm not in any of these pictures. And I got a little sad. A little bit.
Yeah. Does it feel like you're missing? Like when you look back on the memories, like where are you?
Where am I? Then I throw the guilt on the kids. You're going to miss me already, right?
Okay, so why are you not in the pictures? Because I think there can be many reasons why. Like I love to take pictures, and so I take pictures. In fact, if there's something that I don't take pictures of, I get really bummed because I'm like, oh, I missed that opportunity. Like I'm not necessarily good at it, but I like doing it, so I'll take a ton of pictures. But I think it can be hard to be in pictures. Is that why you're not in pictures? Does it feel uncomfortable?
For me, it's not a discomfort thing. It's just a convenience thing. I think for me, it tends to be, it's just easier to hold the phone up and snap it at everything. You're capturing everybody else. You're capturing these moments. And then you return around and realize, wait, but I'm not in that moment myself. So I don't know.
I think you might be in the minority.
Maybe it's not.
I think you might be in the minority of women as far as like why you're not. I mean, like truly, I fully admit I am not comfortable in pictures. I'm not comfortable on video right now. When I launched Expert Connections during COVID, back during the days of Zoom meetings when we were all forced to look at ourselves, I launched Expert Connections as a Facebook Live series. And I was doing multiple interviews every single day to help provide answers for business owners. And I was about a week into these recordings, and I looked at a member of my team on Zoom, of course, because it was COVID. And I said, holy shit, people are watching. And she thought I meant like the numbers, because the numbers were really incredible. We ultimately had like 35,000 people that were watching these videos. And she's like, yeah, the numbers are so great. She's like diving into her spreadsheets. And I was like, no, people are watching me on camera. She's like, well, isn't that the point? And I was really uncomfortable with this idea of being judged. And probably because I was judging myself, continue to judge myself, because how many people look at these videos and they're like, oh my gosh, that hair's out of place.
Right.
That's what we think of ourselves.
Right.
So I have to say the one thing that I continue to do to help myself is I continue to make myself uncomfortable by being on camera. And I try to reframe my mindset about it. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But our guest today is a badass at being able to help reframe this mindset and get women in front of the camera so that they don't miss out on making these memories and then being able to capture these memories on film. Listen to me, like as if we're old school.
It's
capture
all good.
Film and then watch it on the reels later. But really, we want these memories to live on as our legacy, and we want to be a part of this. And so excited to introduce our audience today to our guest.
Think Tank of 3 starts right now.
Welcome to the Think Tank of 3 podcast. I am Julie Holton alongside my amazing co-host, Rishia Candidate Capasaurus, and we have just an incredible guest today. Those of you watching will be able to relate to her in so many ways. She is a woman who has made career changes. She is a wife. She is a mother. And she is a professional photographer who is going to talk today about just getting in front of the camera. Take the damn photo already. I'm so excited to welcome Sarrah Gani to the show. Hi, Sarrah.
Hi, ladies. Thanks for inviting me.
Hey, Sarrah, it's so good to have you here. Let's just start right in on this. Talk to us about the art of the photograph, just taking a simple photograph.
Sure. It's intimidating, right? You think it sounds really simple. It is. You stand in front of the camera and someone takes your picture, but a lot of us don't want to do it because of, reasons we'll get into, but there's so many things about being in a photo that are so important. So when it comes down to it, no matter how you look, we just want to be in photographs. And it sounds really very simple, but for reasons we'll get into, it's really complicated for a lot of women. So I think going through this episode, just really encouraging women to just literally do that, get in the photo, throw all the other stuff out, just be in the damn photo.
Right away, you hit a really good point. This is not just fluff that we're talking about, like taking photos. It might seem that way on the surface level, but the reality is the difficulties, the challenges go much deeper than that. I just saw on social media the other day some really startling statistics that I'd rather not know, frankly, about how young girls are when they start having body image issues. And that's one of the reasons why many women don't want to be on camera, is they have these ideas that they are not good enough, pretty enough, and enough in some way to be captured in a photograph. These statistics show that at 6 years old, girls start thinking they should be skinnier. That is really alarming to me. Reese, your daughter, I mean, it's like, think of these young girls at 8 years old. They've already been on at least one diet where they've tried to alter their eating in some way. And Sarrah, I know this is something that hits home for you, these messages. And what are your thoughts on this?
I used to be one of those girls. That's a big part of all of the things that have gotten me here. And I think a lot of girls, women relate to it differently. I think there are, weight is a huge one. Women who come through the studio just talk about weight, but it's not only weight. And I think that's, automatically we can say lose weight, gain weight. That's like our main thing. But so many women have so many insecurities, myself being one of them, or I should say recovering from being one of them. I'm, really, really trying to push through those, but things like hair or height or just body shape. I mean, anything, like you're saying, these girls are seeing all these messages that are coming to them. And it's not just weight, it's all of the things that you could ever analyze about your body. So you're right, it's so young. And it's so hard to think that these little girls, 6, 7, 8 are already wanting to adjust themselves.
I do have a friend whose daughter, she's a couple of years older than my daughter. So my daughter is 7. And she was saying that one day her daughter came home and she was saying, "Mommy, you know, why do I have, this belly?" She's a healthy, thin. There's no, she swims, she likes to gymnastics. She loves she's a very active little girl, and she's in great shape. She's in great shape. And her mom was concerned. She goes, "Well, what do you mean?" She goes, "Well, all of my friends have really flat bellies, and I have, this belly." I love how her mom kind of dealt with it. She was just like, "Okay, well, first of all, you're fine. Your belly is fine. Everybody's got a different body." But then she also realized, okay, maybe she's got some bloating that's going on. So versus, this is not about you being fat, which she 100% is not. This is not about you having a stomach that you shouldn't have, which is absolutely not. Hers was actually, there's something going on with your diet that may have you having a little bit of extra bloatedness, but please don't start getting into, "Oh my gosh, I don't have a flat belly." And she said, so she kind of looked at, but that first fear of, and the fact that her daughter was aware of, they have flat bellies and I don't. And then it takes me into, you know, different documentaries and shows where you're seeing these young girls, and all they're doing is spending their time on their devices with these likes and these dislikes, and how she looks and how they look here. And it's I would not enjoy growing up today. I'm kind of glad that I grew up in the time of Kodak and VHS tapes and
Blurry photos.
blurry photos. And, while we never said selfie, we took that old school handheld camera and held it up with our friends and snapped the picture, and it was fine. And you didn't get it until you took the film out of the camera a couple of weeks later. There was no liking it. It was just, I can't wait to get my pictures back from the drugstore. versus this instant, "Oh my god, let's take that again. No, I don't like how that looks. Wait, I need to repost myself. Let's take that again." And I think that that's I all of that
And
is
the
having a negative
unrealistic
effect.
standards, the photoshopping. I mean, I'm sure it existed for magazines, but we
Sure.
certainly weren't photoshopping
Photoshopping.
our own Kodak moments that we were creating.
Yeah,
And the girls
that's
today have so much to that they feel like they have so much to live up to. I mean, these stats are showing too. Like, I think what is most sobering for me is that young girls are learning this from the women in their lives. They're learning this from their mothers and their aunts and the women around them. And so when we have a body image issue, or even when we don't realize that we're talking out loud about, oh, I'm going to choose this instead of that because I don't want to get fat, or whatever words we use, our daughters are hearing that. And our sons too. Our 16-year-old son thinks he has a belly. And he is a very lean. And by the way, even if children have bellies, even if there is fat, especially if there is, that's okay too.
mhm.
We have this very unrealistic standard of what healthy looks like, and a focus on skinny and thin versus fat and obese. And the important thing is to be healthy.
Right.
But, Sarrah, how do you approach this when you're working in your studio with women who are struggling to, one, be in front of the camera, but also to get poses, or, what are the conversations that you have?
Sure. A lot of them. I feel like I would say a good 85% of women who come through the door automatically, it's funny because we seek permission by giving ourselves some kind of negative attention, right? So women will come through and say something negative about themselves first and almost want me to counteract that and be like, no, that's not true. It's almost like, first of all, we need permission to be photographed, right? So women want to come through, and for example, someone might come in and say, so, I have a really big belly, or I'm really concerned about my double chin. And then they wait to see what my reaction is.
Mm.
And I think and then a lot of times they follow that by saying, but you can Photoshop that, right? So I always say to people, I'm here to make you the best version of yourself. Do I use Photoshop? Absolutely. But my general rule, and I tell people this right off the bat, and everyone has different clients, right? Everyone has different skill sets. My skill set is to take someone and make them the best version of themselves in a camera. So my general rule is, if it's temporary, such as, a blemish, or like some kind of scab that's going to heal or something like that, that I will remove. If it's something permanent, we leave it. And now I do make exceptions for things that some people are self-conscious of, or that brings them bad memories, like a scar or something, if they want that removed. But I would never touch that without their permission, and even without drawing attention to that. So if I see that someone, for example, has a port scar from, a cancer treatment or something, I literally don't address any of it. I say, I want you to look at these images, and I'd like you to give me your feedback and tell me if there's anything that you'd like changed, right? Because once I bring attention to it, that also brings a level of self-consciousness. And so a lot of people, they know they have scars. They know that if they're bigger, they know if they're thin. And that's also a thing too. Some people are really concerned about being too thin and looking bony. And so, but for women, I have never had a man walk through the door that was as self-conscious as a woman. It's just amazing. We walk in and all of a sudden they're so excited, but then they go, oh, but you can take care of this and this and this and this. And so I just tell them flat out, if you're my client, this is what you're here for. You're here for pictures. I'm going to make you the best version of yourself. We can adjust minor things. If you have let's face it, we all have something that we're concerned about, right? If you put your arm kind of funny on something and it makes it misshapen, I'll adjust that for you. Minor things, but I'm not going to make you into a whole different person.
Let me ask you, once your subject is relaxed, specifically the women, once they have sat down or struck that pose, or just gotten into a couple of minutes of hearing the click 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 click, what happens to the session? What does that become like, even for them and for you, when they finally have just relaxed and they're in that moment of getting their picture taken?
Oh, it's amazing. I love it. So it actually, I would say, starts before, because we offer hair and makeup services, and our hair and makeup consultant is just amazing. She's I can't even say enough words about her. She is like this superhuman that makes everyone who sits in her chair so comfortable. So it's basically a conversation from the get-go. It's like an hour-ish of hair and makeup. So people come in, they're a little high strung. By the time they're done with hair and makeup, they're pretty calm. She gives a little face massage, neck massage, and so by the time they're in front of my camera, their guard is down quite a bit. We've been chit-chatting for that hour. Once the pictures start, I would say it takes maybe 5-10 minutes, and then it's just having a conversation. So I try really hard not to even talk about what we're doing. It's like, oh, sit here, put your legs here. So how long have you been doing this profession? Or like, how many kids do you have? How, just like really going into the conversation. And before you know it, they're like, oh, we're done. Like they don't even think about it, because it's, it really is moving them around, but also just very casual. There's no sit here, say cheese, any of that, fake forced smile. It's really just general, authentic expressions, which I love.
There is something magical about tapping into your authentic self, showing up as you are, showing up as you, and owning it. And, funny story, I walked into Sarrah's studio with Jen Rodriguez, her incredible makeup artist, as she was describing. And I walked in for a photo shoot one day, and I was having the worst day. It was so bad that I don't even remember what I was so upset about. At the time, it was something, just really, I almost canceled, because I had the thought of, like, I don't feel good, so I'm not going to show up well as myself on camera. And then I thought, no, we've had this scheduled. This is their business. I need these photos for my business. Like, I am going to do this. I'm going to show up. And I remember, Sarrah, walking into your studio and like dropping the mess of clothes of whatever I'd brought. Cause I was finally like, I hadn't prepared, because I was just, and I was like, all right, Sarrah is going to help. And I walked in, and I even said to you and Jen, I'm just like, when you asked, like, how are you doing? And you guys were, excited, your normal bubbly, cheerful selves. And I was like, you guys, it has already been a day. Like, it was like 9 a.m. And I'm like, I am not great. And you both were like, yeah, you know what? That's okay. And then, like, none of us had slept the night before. And that ability that the two of you have to be able to say, yeah, you know what? We're going to do this anyway, and it's going to be amazing, and we're going to get through it together. I feel like that's a metaphor for what life needs to be like, with women just wrapping their arms around each other and saying, what, you didn't sleep well? I didn't sleep well. You've got this problem. I've got this problem. Like, that's okay. We're still going to show up, and we're going to be more than enough, because we are us. And I think when you look at those photos, that comes through. I mean, like, I had said to my partner, Dave, before going, like, I think this is going to be a waste. I think I'm going to do this shoot. I think my negative energy is going to show through, and it's going to be awful. But you look at those photos, and I can see, like, nope, these ladies really helped lift me up and turn it around. And I think that ability, taking that kind of, whether you're in the studio or out of the studio, and being able to recenter and refocus and take your mindset and say, you know what? I don't care what my hair looks like. I don't care how many zits I have, or whatever the blemish is that we think is a blemish, and saying, you know what? This is me today. And 50 years from now, I want my kids, or I want myself, or I want my friends, whoever's in your life that you really care about. I want them to look back on this and say, yeah, that was her. And look at that smile, look at that energy, and who she is in life.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm so glad that was your experience. I remember that so specifically. We just like didn't say anything for 10 minutes. You were like, okay, regroup. And then you just kind of were like, nope, I'm ready. Let's talk. And so it worked out really well. And I feel that's a lot of what a lot of women bring to the studio too, is we're always stressed about something, right? It's whether it's family, it's work, it's something that just went wrong and you're not sure you're going to be here. I've had people come in literally hours after a family member has passed even. And it's like, it's almost like this little therapy session, right? Because it's, by the end of it, it's about 2.5 to 3 hours when you're there for hair and makeup and different poses. And you just, it's amazing the things people will tell you. It's almost, you know, when you go to get your hair done, right? It's like a little chit chat session. You just kind of spill everything and you're very comfortable. And that happens a lot. You just kind of talk through it. And by the end, you feel better because a lot of times we just need to bitch about it. We just need to get it off our chest, or we just need to tell someone, and we need to have some empathy. And that's what Jen and I really strive for. You know, we talk a lot about, yes, we have our own whatever going on, but we don't want to bring that energy to the studio. We're really focused on having this whole experience about the person come in. If you want to dance to music, we want to get excited, great. If you want to be quiet and calm, great. If you want to just talk the whole time, great. So like, what do you need? It's kind of like a massage, right? Whether you some people prefer to chit chat the whole time, and some people just or like, don't talk to me. So we try to accommodate whatever makes someone feel more comfortable or whatever mood they're in that day.
Is there, I don't know, I don't want to sound weird. I guess what I'm trying to find is energy. You guys
No,
are talking about energy.
sound weird. I want you to sound weird. Say
Bring
it,
the
Reese.
weirdness.
Bring the weird. You're talking about, you know, when you come into the studio, depending on the energy that the subject is going to have, depending on the energy that you yourself as the photographer might have, because like you said, everybody's got something that might be going on. You never know when you walk into that studio. So when you go back and look at the pictures, can you see it? Can you feel the energy when you're going back and going through the oh my gosh, I've forgotten what do you do with it? You take a picture, develop it.
Sure. Yes. So yeah, now it's just putting it up on, you know, on the screen. So,
yeah. Okay. Right.
There's
old school.
I know. I am with you. I learned in my darkroom in high school. I mean, I loved the whole, you know, the whole process of actually watching your photo like literally appear before. I loved it. There's a huge difference. So actually, and I never, you know, hopefully, okay, if anyone is coming in for a session, hopefully they don't listen to this part, but their first photos don't count. I literally don't even ever count on the first 10 minutes of being any usable photo. There are rare occasions where someone's super confident, they come in, they're like, I'm here, I'm ready.
They're men.
Yes, they are men. They are men, or they are women who have done extensive self-value work. So they come in, but a lot of times, like, people, you can just see there's a stiffness in the body, there's a stiffness in the smile. But once you've talked for about 5 or 10 minutes, then everything's relaxed. There's no tightness in your mouth. It's just your eyes, especially the eyes tell a story. You can tell whether you're, you know, faking tense smile or you're just comfortable having a conversation. So I typically bring that pose back. So, you know, if I'm shooting a certain outfit and pose, I'll go through my camera and say, oh, you know what? I have a couple of blinks there. I'd like just to bring us back to this first set. And those are the real pictures. So we always start out with, you know, first 5 or 10 minutes that I'm actually not really counting on being usable photos.
When I was first launching M Connections, one of the first things I did was a photo shoot. And I felt so ridiculous. I had never, first of all, this was my first time as an entrepreneur. And I knew, you know, as a marketer, I knew I needed branding photos. But I also was like, oh my gosh, like it felt like physically painful. Picking out outfits and figuring out all the things was really painful. I have to tell you, by the end of the experience, I realized that it actually was a really fun experience. When the photographer finally got me to relax and just have fun with it, because it was like a downtown outside photo shoot and people are walking by and I'm like, oh my gosh, people think I'm a weirdo. And like the weirdest thoughts too, like, oh, people think that I think I look good, or like just weird randomness. But it was so much fun. And now I look back and I have, and the photographer convinced me at the time to get like a little photo album of these. Cause I'm like, what do I need a photo album for? You know, I'm like, what am I going to send this to my parents to sit on their coffee table? You know, I was single and like, I don't need photos of myself, but now I have that album and it's this memory book of who I was when I was starting my business. Like, and now I am so grateful that I have this and that I had that experience, that I realized, as kooky as this sounds, like it can feel good to feel good. And to have someone who is there saying, oh my God, like as they're taking the photos, oh my gosh, your smile looks amazing. And I can feel your warmth, or, you know, whatever things they say, they get you to like really come out again. And I think all women should experience that at least once. Sarrah, you have a series that you're doing, a 30 women over 30 portrait series. And I think some of this feeling is behind that. Can you talk about this series and why you're doing it?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm like we've said, sometimes it's very hard for women to get in front of the camera, almost like you need an invitation, right? You need someone to convince you and give you a really good reason to come in. It's another thing to do, right? We have a never-ending to-do list. And so I think that's also a part of the reason women are like, next year, next year, next year. And before you know it, it's 10 years later and you don't have photos. So the 30 over 30 was meant to be almost like a mini session. I typically don't do mini sessions, but that's the best way I can describe it. It's like a small session, come in, have hair and makeup services, have a couple of photos, and just experience like this small portion of the day for you. But in order to get women there, it's, you have to, I almost feel like I had to make it a smaller experience to be like, listen, you can do this. It's not big. Come on in, couple of photos. It's really simple. But once they're there, they want to stay. Like sometimes I'm like, okay, my babysitter is going to leave in 5 minutes. I have to go. So once you bring them in, it's giving them permission to come through the doors of your studio, and we need a good reason. So this is almost like I'll call it like a super deal, right? It's like a mini session, something that I typically don't offer, but really to draw women in. And once you see that it's kind of a package that you can't say no to, they're like, okay, I can do this for myself. It's not that expensive. I can do this for myself. Oh, it doesn't take that much time. I can give that. So it's really to draw women in and capture them in whatever stage of life they are. That's a big one. I don't want you at 30 years old in your prime all the time, right? I don't want women who are just off of a tan. I don't want women who are just like, oh, I worked with the trainer for 5 years and now I have the body I want for photos. I want the everyday woman. And so I want the pregnant moms. I want the postpartum mamas. I want the people who are like, oh, I'm hitting 40, feeling a little looser. Like, let's just, get through that. I want the women who are 70 and who are celebrating being 70 and new phases of their life, whether that's a divorce. A lot of women come in because they're looking for this new phase, something to celebrate, new phase in their life. And so I don't want people who are considered photogenic. I want women to come in who are scared of being photographed. And that really, because it's more of a transformative experience, right? So I'm trying to give this experience to women who wouldn't seek it out themselves.
Mm. It sounds like they sound like therapy sessions.
They are 100%. Right? I'm not licensed, but yes.
Right. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about, we're talking about how the energy changes. So you can come in depending on what type of mood you're in. You come in, you start taking the picture, you start feeling, feeling looser, or who knows? It even takes me to, because I always have to bring things back to some type of television or movie. Grey's Anatomy. Mm-hmm. And there's an episode. Wait, I don't even remember what season it was. Oh yes, I do. Well, I don't remember the season, but big old shooting. And Christina Yang, who's one of my all-time favorite characters on the show, basically she leaves. She can't, this first time she's actually hit a moment where she's like, I can't do this, right? She's the star. And then what ended up happening is she goes on a fishing trip with her best friend's like boyfriend, husband, and she catches a fish and she's standing there holding the fish. And he's like, okay, you got to get a picture with the fish. And then she just starts crying. And the guy's like, you want to wait? He's like, no, take that picture. Take it right now. And she's just tears flowing, holding this big old nasty fish in her hand. And he's like, you need to hold on to this. You need to remember this. This is you. And I was like, this is just a television show. But of course, it just sent me to, those moments need to be captured sometimes too. Those moments of just profound feeling. It doesn't necessarily have to be tears per se, but just, I love seeing pictures where someone's head is just yanked back and their mouths are just.
Wait, how are they reached? What do they look like?
Let me get my camera.
Throw back, mouths open, laughing. I go.
And I guarantee no one is looking at you in that photo the way you are looking at you. I guarantee it. And I was actually really surprised recently. There's a photo of Dave and Colin and I, and we're looking at this photo. We'd just gotten this print back, and I'm looking at me. And then as I'm listening to them, Colin's looking at Colin, Dave's looking at Dave. And I realized people don't look at the photo to look at me. Like they're looking at the photo as a photo, and people are looking at themselves. And so it was kind of that like, oh, like these guys aren't even looking at my hair that's out of place or my whatever it was that was going through my head. They're looking at themselves, and they're not seeing themselves the way I'm seeing them. I'm looking at them and thinking, wow, look at my beautiful family. Right. And they're looking at themselves saying things like, gosh, was that the right sweater to wear? Or, how does my belly look? Or was my hair really looking that funny that day? Whatever it is. And so it's like, you know what? Just take the damn photo.
Yeah, look at
be in the photo, be in the memories.
Look at pictures when we take pictures of babies, right? Or of little kids. And we go back and look at those pictures and you're like, oh, you're pooping in that picture, aren't you?
Yeah.
Or I have a friend, she sent the holiday card out, and it was her son who was a baby at the time. I want to say, oh gosh, he's I think 17 or 18 now. But the one picture is bawling his eyes out, just like the pouty face, and that's when you're super cute with the pouty face. And then the next picture is just like this huge grin, and it's like, before the apple juice, after the apple juice, or whatever it is, I just, it's so interesting. And you're right. You look back at these pictures and no one is saying, why is that baby wearing that bib? No one is doing that, what is it? Aren't people like recreating pictures now of like the childhood photographs as adults, which I don't know, might or might not be good, but
some of them are pretty funny. I've seen them.
Right. My husband goes through that sometimes. We'll look at pictures of him with the kids, or again, him with the kids or something. And he's like, oh, let's recreate that one where she's resting on me or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I just started reading a book that my mom gave to me for my birthday. It's called My Sunday Best. And I should have had it down here with me, but I want to get the name of the woman. Oh, come on, show up on my phone with a quickness, please. It's My Sunday Best by Dr. Laverne Ford Wimberly. She is in her 70s. And actually, no, I think she's in her 80s now. And she started taking a picture of herself. What had happened was pandemic hit. She was a church-going woman. And every Sunday at church, and especially in the Black community and in the Baptist church, you are dressed to the nines for church. It's just, you go there as if you are going to a grand party. Okay. And so when COVID hit and the church shut down and they were only doing virtual services, she's like, well, I'm still going to dress as if I'm going, to the house of worship in my Sunday best. She did it 52 weeks straight, 52 different amazing hats, 52 different amazing outfits. She's got like over 60 hats, and these are like and it just, each picture, she said, then after about 9 weeks she started adding a little scripture or something. But she said, after a while, she goes, I just wanted to bring a little joy, a little light, and it started to work. She goes, people started sending me hats, people started sending me outfits, people started sending me, this jewelry will go great with this hat. And I was like, isn't that amazing? Just from being on video and taking a selfie on video and putting that out there on social media. Here's today's Sunday best. Just taking the damn picture, Sarrah.
It can be so life-changing. You're making me think of, I've heard there are two women that I have in mind who have come to the studio who have been incredibly hesitant. Like literally one of them only came because she won a prize that I had donated for a silent auction. She was like, I don't know that I'm going to love these, but I don't want to waste this money. I was like, okay, challenge accepted. Got it. I have had, I would say close to 10 women call me, email me, text message me and say, this person has changed. Like she somehow, after taking the photos, just changed. She saw herself. She had not, and when I look back on her social media, she hadn't uploaded a new photo of herself probably 8 to 10 years. And you could tell that she was never in photos that she was posting. And they were nothing, I don't want to say nothing special, right? But they were nothing extraordinary. It was literally a black backdrop, single light, your typical headshot. She was a little fancier with the posing, but they were like, something has changed in her because she sees herself now. So when you take those pictures, I mean, it brings joy to yourself, but also people notice. They really see those changes.
We hate to wrap this thing up, but we're gonna have to bring this thing to a close. But we have our rapid fire questions.
Oh, okay.
That we do for every guest that comes on. This has been so much fun, Sarrah. And it's just amazing to me. Just again, when you stop and think about it, the photo session is a therapy session. A picture is a therapy session. So once again, like I always say, everybody needs therapy. Well, then maybe just take a picture. That'll help. That might help.
Absolutely.
Love it.
All right. Question number 1. Sarrah, what is one piece of advice that you would give to any aspiring woman leader, any woman that's just, hey, maybe even it's just about taking that picture?
I would say find a mentor. To anyone who is trying to do any kind of leadership, any kind of expansion of your role, any kind of new thing, find a mentor, because number one, you're going to have someone who's going to teach you all the things you need to know in just a fantastic way, but you're going to save yourself a lot of time too. You're going to learn from the best. And that's what I tell people, when I'm asked questions or someone has a new idea, go find someone to work with. Like, find a woman who is where you want to be or hire and go learn from them.
Your mindset, Sarrah, is so inspiring. Can you share a book, quote, a resource that has had a significant impact on your journey?
Yeah, absolutely. So my mentor, Sue Bryce, she's a content creator. She's phenomenal. Gosh, she has so many, but I think the one that sticks with me most is she just says all the time, mirror, mirror. And so whatever you're feeling about yourself, like you were saying, Julie, you're looking at photos, kind of seeing like, oh, was that the right sweater? Is my hair out of place? She says, mirror, mirror all the time. The thing that you're seeing in yourself is the thing that you're judging with other people. So fix your mindset and look in, what you're seeing. If you're looking at someone who is like, oh, that outfit's not great, or their hair's a little out of place, those are your own insecurities that you're projecting on other people. And so all the time, if I start to get a little, because we all do, right? We all get a little jealous. We all get a little something that is not a great color on us all the time. Flip that back to yourself and ask yourself, why do I feel that way? What am I insecure about with myself that I'm projecting right now with those feelings? And that's been incredibly helpful.
That is so awesome. Oh my gosh, I love that. If you could go back in time and talk to your younger listening self, what kind of advice would you give that individual?
I would say do it faster. Don't be scared to do it, because it's taken me 6 years of part-time before I opened a full-time studio 3 years ago, and it's a big leap, but just do it. Just go for it. Just do it. Find a way. If that's working a part-time job at, wherever that cashier, something, grocery shopper, like something, just find a way to fund what you want to do and do it faster.
Sarrah, it has been so wonderful having you on the show. Thank you for sharing your energy and for your thoughts about how to step in front of the camera and take those photos, and really, actually, not only that, but how to change our mindset so that we're actually embracing the positive sides of things and being more adventurous, like maybe stepping in front of the camera.
And not just for special occasions. Maybe that's the other problem. We don't have to be getting married or being pregnant or what. You don't have to have a reason, right?
Sure.
I think just take it.
Yeah, I think one of the best things you can tell people, and I don't want to end this on like a negative note, but in the most positive way you can say it. What do you want to leave behind for people and yourself? You need to enjoy the photos, but the first thing we look for when someone isn't here anymore is a photo, right? That's literally the first thing you look for. So for yourself, enjoy the photos, but also, what do you want to leave as your legacy? Do you want people to never see you ever again? Or do you want to exist in those pictures where you're cooking, where your hair's a mess, where you're just in your PJs on Christmas morning? So, what do you want to look at now, but also what do you want to leave behind?
Just take the picture. Just take the picture. That is all for this episode of Think Tank of Three. Before you go away, remember to hit the subscribe button. And thank you so much. We'll see you next week.